Hey everyone, it's Rena Jadov here. And today we're chatting away with Dr. Joel Kahn. Hi, Dr. Joel, welcome.
Good day. You look wonderful.
You do too. It's a
Getting a
gorgeous summer afternoon.
Is it? Yeah, we got rain in Detroit, but sometimes that's kind of calming and quieting.
I love summer rain. It's actually the best kind of rain, I think. Well, what is going on with fish oil and why is everyone finally writing about the fact that it's a myth to be taking fish oil? What's the truth, Dr. Joel?
Well, probably your listeners are very savvy, but it's omega-3. Humans don't make omega-3. There's some nutrients we make. There's some nutrients we don't make. Omega-3 long-chain fatty acids, of which the two most famous ones are EPA and DHA. And they're important in membrane function and cholesterol management and generally inflammation control, brain health, but we don't make them, so therefore we have to get them. And we certainly can get them from the marine world. Not every fish and shellfish provides much EPA and DHA. Salmon, sardine, herring. Some people use the term smash fish. Salmon, mackerel, anchovy, sardines, and herring. That's another acronym. So that's not tilapia, that's not cod, that's not tuna. They're rather low in omega-3. The big concern from getting them from lots of fish is the contamination of our precious planet and the fact that it's not only heavy metals like mercury in large fish, but unfortunately also in small fish in the waters, but that there's also something people are probably unfamiliar with called POPs, P-O-P-S, persistent organic pollutants, which is the family of dioxin and PCBs and DDT, which, some of these things have been banned for decades, but they're in the environment. And fish flesh, and particularly fish fat, there's a term bioaccumulate. Unfortunately, they both ingest a lot of these pollutants that are very harmful to our health, and they do concentrate them in their fat. So a beautiful, nice, fatty piece of salmon lox might also be graced not only with some capers and chopped red onion, might be graced with DDT and mercury. How do you know? You don't know because you can't taste it, you can't see it. You try and buy high quality, you hope and pray. I do blood mercury levels on every patient I see, and like 1 or 2 out of every 10, their blood mercury levels sky high. And it's crazy. And it can affect blood pressure and brain health, heart health. So that's become the concern about how much fish do you eat. When the advice is that pregnant women don't eat fish, you have to start questioning the overall health of that food group. Then you get to fish oil capsules, which some are concentrated DHA, maybe more for the brain. Some are a mixture of EPA and DHA, and a few are EPA only. There's a prescription brand that's EPA only for cholesterol effects. There's a prescription brand that's DHA only, more for certain brain health. But most commercially available fish oil capsules are a combination, and it's like buying wine. It's very hard for anybody to read the label necessarily. It might say 1,000 milligram at your big box store. It could be your grocery store. It could be your drugstore. It could be one of your better vitamin stores. But of that 1,000 milligram or 1,200 milligram, if you really read, 500 milligrams may be the EPA, DHA, and half of it may be just unknown marine oil. And, unclear. Is it for anchovies, sardines, salmon? What's the purity? There is reason to be concerned. The real, what's called pharmaceutical grade omega-3 fish oil capsules from a name brand, high-end company, whether it's a pharmaceutical company or one of the better nutraceutical companies, the majority of that 1,000 milligram capsule is going to be EPA, DHA with very little left over. Most of the good companies will check for mercury contamination, but to my knowledge, are not necessarily routinely checking for that DDT, dioxin, PCB POPs. And so that's one concern. What's come along, if one wants, if one isn't a fish eater, fish allergy, adheres to a plant diet like I do, is there weren't many brands of algae-based omega-3. I believe I'm correct in saying this, not even fish actually make EPA, DHA. fish are eating plankton and algae all day long, which are actually the original source of long-chain omega-3 fatty acids. There's a little bit in some meats. There's a little bit in lamb. It's very low. You don't want to be getting your omega-3 from red meat. It's like filtering it through a fish and into an animal, into your body. You can get algae-based omega-3. To my knowledge, the largest capsule I've seen is 500 milligram, where it's very common to see 1,000 or 1,200 milligram of a fish-based omega-3. The therapeutic range, most people feel, is 1.8 grams a day and up, starts to actually give measurable impact. Maybe anti-inflammatory for joint disease, maybe brain enhancement, maybe major cholesterol triglyceride changes, C-reactive protein decreases. So the problem with the headlines in the last 6 months, because there was a study in January and there's been more recent, these are what are called meta-analysis. There weren't any new data. The new data was done 20 years ago in Japan and across the United States, and many were favorable. But now when you lump all the data, it doesn't look so favorable. There isn't really harm being described. There's just absence of benefit. And the lumping can be problematic. It depends what criteria. So in the January omega-3 meta-analysis, the studies included fish oil supplementation from drugstore to the finest quality brands, and from 200 milligram capsules to those who were well over 1,000. They were just lumped together. And, you know, a 200 milligram supply of omega-3 would be like studying a 5 milligram aspirin, not an 81 milligram aspirin, not a 325 milligram aspirin. I mean, it is theoretically, you know, unnecessary to include these low dose studies when the data has been very clear that you're really not going to see a measurable impact until you get to high doses, and they weren't segregated.
I see.
And, you know, and then there's the purity problem. So I'm not ready to abandon. So how else can you get omega-3? You can eat it, and I promote eating it. You know, you don't eat it directly except if you're eating fish. You can put in 2 tablespoons a day of ground flaxseed. Nobody's going to have a problem with that. In fact, the other benefits are 2 tablespoons a day. And that's not a random number. That's actually a calculation from something called the Institute of Medicine, that if you ingest in your oatmeal, in your smoothie, on your salad, 2 tablespoons a day of ground flaxseed, organic if you like, that's what I do. We used to have to grind them in our coffee grinder. Now you can buy a big bag and seal it up tight again. And that will provide enough precursor for your body to metabolize down to EPA, DHA, enough to sustain healthy, physiology. It's a habit. I actually have in my office these little packets you can buy online called flax packs, so that people travel, they can actually now easily take flax with them, because a big Ziploc bag of flax is a rather messy thing to travel with or go to work with and so go to the gym with. It's easy now. Chia seeds are a great source. Hemp seeds, hemp hearts, great source. Leafy greens are a great source. Walnuts are a great source. They're the highest nut-based omega-3. So all those are fine. The argument is, but they're not actually EPA, DHA. They have to be metabolized. And the majority of people believe that actually flooding your body with EPA, DHA in the capsule is fine, or in foods is fine. Some people feel it's called parent essential oils. It may actually be better just to flood your body with chia, hemp, flax, walnuts, greens. Let your body figure out how much to make into EPA, DHA. It's an unresolved kind of discussion. But the bottom line, when you put it all together, we need omega-3, and most importantly, you can measure a blood level. Most labs will measure omega-3, omega-6, EPA, DHA, arachidonic acid. It's neither expensive nor is it exotic, but most people don't know you can measure it, just like a vitamin D level, a vitamin B12 level.
Right.
There are studies that omega-3 level supplementation, a good level of omega-3 is associated with longevity. So it's like serious data. It's one of the 7 or 8 lab tests that has some data. It can predict longevity. So we may be throwing the baby out with the bathwater when we look at the headlines and say, I'm going to throw away. So I think the bottom line is lots of omega-3 precursor foods, or if you're a fish eater, get the highest quality fish that's concentrated in omega-3, the smash fish. Maybe get a blood mercury level. I do that in my patients. Make sure you're not high, because you might want to rethink the fish aspect. If you don't want to go down that route, an algae-based omega-3. I do have my vegan patients all take chia, flax, hemp, walnuts, greens, but they take an omega-3 algae 300, 400 milligram supplement every day as a backup insurance that they're getting enough. I see tremendous benefits when I boost omega-3 in my patients in diet or in supplementation, because their blood level's low, and then I'll supplement them. And I do see cholesterol profiles change favorably, C-reactive protein change favorably. Sometimes blood sugar comes down. Sometimes joint pain and brain fog improve. It's an important nutrient. So, there is an underlying conspiracy theme that when any natural therapy looks bad, pharma looks better. And when it's actually a horrible truth that the journals that publish anti-natural therapy data, because they're science, often have that full article for free. Everybody can access the article that's about omega-3.
Yes.
When the next article comes out about the newest $20,000 a month cancer treatment, you often have to be a subscriber to get the whole article and all. So let's disseminate the anti-natural articles, and let's publish, but make it exclusive to read the high science. I have written a blog recently, including some of that conspiracy data, that it's true. I mean, journals make money from pharma, the ads. Journals make money from pharma reprints.
Yes.
Nobody reprints this omega-3 article. The one that gets reprinted is the new pharmaceutical, the new expensive drug. So it's all slanted to have the headlines be what they are. Now, of course, we have to keep an open mind, and it may be that fish-based supplementation will become passé. They're even talking, just to close up, that as there's going to be more and more attempts to engineer meat in labs, meat in factories. There's no cow, there's no lamb, there's no chicken, there's meat genetically.
Yep.
There may be a way to actually boost omega-3 through manipulation of the broth that it's grown in. So you may have an omega-3 enriched lamb shank that never came from an animal's rib, that never polluted the environment, yet is actually very rich in omega-3. Now, that's, I'm blanking on the movie with Hal, the movie, a futuristic movie of 30 years ago, but that may be the future as soon as 2-3 years from now, and we may be able to supplement with many questions about the safety and long-term health of such a lab-grown meat, but it's happening.
It absolutely is. I mean, Silicon Valley's invested in a bunch of companies that are doing this. So thank you for sharing that. A couple of questions. One, when you say algae-based, are you referring to krill oil?
No, krill is not algae. Krill is a living marine creature.
Oh.
And the benefits, the risk of krill, have been studied far less. Theoretically, krill has a little more of an antioxidant called astaxanthin, which is is the reason flamingos are pink. And, theoretically, a beneficial, powerful antioxidant. Preliminary studies support that, not massive, convincing studies. No, there actually are in every health food store and online, vegan, non-animal, not marine biology-based plant-sourced algae. So plant-sourced omega-3. And the potency is increasing. A fish oil capsule can be quite a honker.
Absolutely.
There is no algae-based capsule, and when they get one, it'll be 1,000 milligram, and it'll be on par. But it's creeping up, as I say, to about 500 milligram now. Space Odyssey was
okay.
Hal the computer.
Yes, we all watched that one. Yes. Okay, so krill oil. Are you a fan or are you not a fan? Because there's quite a few.
I think krill oil that I've seen is usually, in big box stores and drug stores, and I'm a little suspicious
Okay.
of it. I'd rather somebody take a fish-based, high-quality nutraceutical dose if they need to take, or food-based, algae-based sources.
So let's talk about some brands that you like, because as you mentioned, one of the challenges is that just the way we regulate our supplements industry and the fact that supplements has become a gazillion-dollar industry at this point, not every supplement has the high quality. A lot of them have fillers and things that you actually don't want to put in your body. And what's worst is, I know there's been a lot of studies around what they claim isn't even true. So if someone claims that it has 500, it doesn't mean it really does, because again, who's testing to confirm that data? So there's a couple of companies I think out there that do a great job. What are some of your favorite company brands that folks can actually trust?
Well, in the nutraceutical world, I mean, there is a process or a certification called GMP, which is a level of manufacturing quality that I understand a very small minority of nutraceutical companies have, but Metagenics, Designs for Health, Thorne, Orthomolecular, Pure, come to mind, quickly. And they're the ones I favor using for myself and for my patients. There are even over-the-counter medications have recently come in the limelight as being, majority filler, majority additives, colors, and dyes. I'm intrigued by a startup in Los Angeles that's actually crushing it in tens of thousands of stores called Genexa. You need a heartburn medicine. You need a icy hot to rub on your arm. You need a saline drop for your baby infant. You might not want to be putting red dye number whatever on. And they're actually creating a large line of over-the-counter pharmaceuticals that replace, they're calling themselves the healthier medicine company. And I'm intrigued by what they're doing. They've been written up in Fortune magazine, that educating the public that can you imagine that in the very medicine you're taking or giving to a child, there is way more filler than there is active agent. It can be 97% filler, and we don't think about that aspect, talc and aluminum and such. So those are the high ends. Even in a standard vitamin shop in the fish oil world, there's a company called Nordic Natural, a company called Carlson's. They're generally regarded as a step above, the store brand. But there is, it's not, Consumer Reports will sometimes grade vitamins. And I think it's consumerlabs.com only grades vitamins, independent lab. People can subscribe for a yearly, I think it's a weekly newsletter. So if you really want to go deep on the issue, I'm pretty sure it's consumerlabs.com. You can look up, curcumin brands and omega-3 brands. Because I think they've given Kirkland, omega-3 a reasonably high AOK. I would double check that, and that's good to know, because you do wonder if that's an adequate place to go. Same is true of multivitamins. The quality of multivitamins, the nature, and you have to be a biochemist, which is why you might just throw it over to a consumerlabs.com and read. From synthetic vitamin E to synthetic vitamin, synthetic folate as folic acid versus a multivitamin that's either whole food based, Mega Foods, Garden of Life, or one of these other companies that really emphasizes more natural and adaptable forms of the multivitamin. Maybe the difference why another meta-analysis on multivitamins also came up somewhat flat in the last month or so, because the quality spectrum was from very low to some brands, and the dosing range. I mean, there's multivitamins with 400 international units of vitamin D and 2,000 international units. In my practice, 2,000 international units is not enough to get people into a normal range of vitamin D. It's usually 4,000, 5,000. So, knowing which multivitamin has actually more physiologic ranges, better quality, would only make sense. It does in every other field. You don't put the lowest quality gas in your sports car, and you wouldn't underdose your body if you understood the multivitamin dosing.
So you like Garden of Life? Because that's one of
Yeah.
the ones that I take. Okay, so you
Yeah,
do.
I do like them. You know, they've had the tradition of being natural, and I believe I'm saying correctly, organic and whole food based. Of course, they just sold, I think, to Nestle, and people get concerned that the
Absolutely.
glass bottle is going to become a plastic bottle, and the capsule, and so we'll have to watch what happens. People do feel that some of the brands change when they get acquired by the mega company.
That's what happened to Tom's. Tom's of Maine was
Right,
great, and we used to buy it just like clockwork. And
right.
I happened to look at the ingredients about a year after they'd been acquired, and guess what? It's not the same ingredient label, and they added a whole bunch of
Their
crap back in.
toothpaste used to be in like a metal aluminum. No, I thought it was aluminum, and now it's in plastic. Right? People
Yeah,
point that out.
yeah, that's it's terrible. So I always say, consumers beware. Ignorance is not an excuse, right? Like you have to take charge of
Yeah.
what it is that you put down this hole right here. You've got to own it.
Right.
And so hopefully, for those of you who are listening, this has been incredibly revealing and has answered some of your questions as you've been reading these articles that have been published on fish oil and the whole fish oil controversy. Dr. Joel, as always, thank you so much. You're awesome.
Thank you very much. Thanks for giving me the opportunity. Healthier.
And everybody else, keep smiling. We'll see you on another one of these.